You are about to meet a man the French army fed 4 times as much as anyone else in it. It didn't work. By the time he died, doctors could see straight down his throat into his own stomach, and even then they couldn't tell you why he was like this. They just wrote down what they found and moved on. His name was Tarrare, and he may be the hungriest human being ever documented. It started before he was even a teenager. Tarrare grew up near Lyon, and by his mid-teens his family couldn't afford to feed him, not because they were unusually poor, but because he could eat more in a sitting than the rest of the household combined. So they did what you do with a problem you can't solve. They sent him away. A teenager with no money and an appetite nobody could satisfy has exactly one marketable skill in 18th century France. He became a showman. For coins, Tarrare would eat literally anything a crowd handed him. Corks, stones, live snakes, live eels, whole live cats swallowed down in front of paying strangers for a living. Somehow none of it made him fat. At 17, he reportedly weighed about 100 pounds. He was eating like a machine and built like a famine victim, and nobody watching him perform had any idea why. Then France went to war, and the army needed bodies. Tarrare enlisted, and someone made a decision that seemed reasonable at the time: give the hungry man extra rations. They quadrupled his food, 4 soldiers' worth every day just for him. He was still starving. He ate his own rations, then the food scraps other soldiers threw away, then things that weren't food at all. Hospital orderlies caught him eating from the amputation buckets. He drank blood collected from other patients' bloodletting. He was found more than once rooting through the hospital's dead room. This wasn't a party trick anymore. This was a body that genuinely could not register full, no matter what went into it. That's when he stopped being a soldier's problem and became a doctor's problem. 2 military physicians, Baron Percy and a colleague named Corville, took him on as a case study, and to their credit, they actually tried to help him. They tried opium to dull the hunger, they tried tobacco pills, they tried wine laced with ipecac to make him vomit up whatever he'd swallowed. None of it touched him. And then, in the name of science, they did something that reads a lot less like medicine and a lot more like a dare. They handed him a live cat and watched. Accounts from the time say he killed it, ate it, and drank the blood, and left the skeleton clean enough that it looked picked over by something considerably more patient than a starving man. The doctors got their data point. Tarrare got nothing. He was no closer to being fed and no closer to being fixed. What Tarrare did have, though, was a genuinely useful skill hiding inside a medical tragedy. He could swallow things and pass them through his body completely intact. The army noticed, and the army had a use for a man who could carry something across a border inside his own digestive tract. They recruited him as a courier. The job: swallow a wooden box containing a secret document, walk it across enemy lines into Prussian-held territory, and deliver it to an imprisoned French colonel by simply passing it and handing it over. It should have worked. It didn't. Tarrare didn't speak German. He looked exactly as strange as you'd expect a man who eats cats for a living to look, and he drew attention within hours. Prussian soldiers picked him up, strip-searched him, and found nothing, because the evidence, quite literally, hadn't arrived yet. They held him. A day later it did. They opened the box expecting secrets. What they found was a decoy message, worthless, and Tarrare came within a rope's length of being hanged as a spy for a mission that was never going to matter either way. He made it back, and whatever was left of his usefulness to the army went with the rope he almost swung from. Back in the hospital, still hungry, still unexplained, Tarrare's story takes its darkest turn. A toddler on the ward went missing. Nobody ever proved what happened to that child. But the hospital staff looked at the man who'd already eaten a live cat in front of them, who rooted through the dead room, who could not stop, and suspicion landed on him immediately. He was driven out. Whether or not it was true, it was the end of any chance he had at a normal life inside a system that might have kept studying him and maybe eventually helped him. He disappeared for years. Baron Percy didn't see him again until Tarrare showed up dying, insisting that a golden fork he'd swallowed years earlier was finally killing him from the inside. It wasn't the fork, it was tuberculosis. He died in 1798 in his mid-20s, and doctors finally did the one thing that had eluded them his entire life. They looked inside him properly, in an autopsy. What they found was almost unbelievable. His esophagus was so grotesquely widened that you could look into his open mouth and see straight down into his own stomach. That stomach was enormous, stretched far past any normal size, and its walls were a mess of ulcers. His organs had been pushed and reshaped by a digestive system that had spent his entire short life demanding more than any body should be able to hold. Modern doctors, looking back, guess at hyperthyroidism, or a rare hypothalamic disorder, or something we still don't have a clean name for. Nobody knows for certain, even now. The honest answer is the same one his own doctors landed on 2 centuries ago. They could describe exactly what was wrong with him in extraordinary anatomical detail the moment he stopped being alive to feel it. That's the pattern with Tarrare, and it's the same pattern you've seen on this channel before. A body doing something medicine of the era simply could not explain, doctors responding with fascination instead of help, and the only real answers arriving after it was too late to use them. If that's a pattern you're into, that's basically the whole channel. Subscribe and go vote in this week's poll before the next one lands.